Pitch Perfect isn't exactly one of the most innovative or amazing movies ever made. The plot is fairly formulaic, not every single joke lands, and I think it's fair to say that it's perfect in name only. But with that said, it's still a good movie, and I can totally see why it has the following that it does. I think it mainly boils down to the fact that the characters are really likable. You really buy into the goals and the chemistry they have with each other, and it's interesting seeing such conflicting personalities struggle to get along and then eventually bring out the best in each other.
I love you, awesome nerds.
And I think the point where this really shows is in the song number at the end of the film titled Bella's Finals. First of all, some context. Throughout the movie, we've been seeing the training of the newest generation of the college music group, the Bard and Bellas, as they've been participating in a college a cappella competition and struggling every step of the way.
This is not a great way to start their season.
Yeah, this number is like an elephant dart to the public's face.
The group's leader Aubrey and newcomer Becca have had an especially hard time working together, Aubrey insisting that they need to stick to the set list of the Bellas before them, and Becca arguing that they need to try something new to stand a chance.
In case you hadn't noticed, everybody pretty much dozed off during our set. It's not your job to decide what we do and when we do it.
Meanwhile, several of the Bellas are also going through problems of their own, which are also making the competition more difficult. Becca is unwilling to open up emotionally to anyone in her life, be it the Bellas, her father, or her romantic interest Jesse.
I was just trying to help you.
I don't need your help. You're not my boyfriend.
Got it.
Another Bella named Chloe has recently done permanent damage to her voice.
The doctor said that I can't sing above a G sharp, maybe ever.
And Aubrey is working with teammates that are either a little more unruly than what she's used to, or just don't suit the Bella's image. Despite this, they make it to the finals by the skin of their teeth, but realize that they all need to change if they're gonna win. Becca needs to stop pushing people away, and Aubrey needs to loosen up and not stick so rigidly to tradition.
I let you guys down, and I'm really sorry. Becca, what do we do?
And this leads into their final performance, and right from the beginning, you can tell there's something a little bit different about them. The Bella's old costumes, the neat, identical airline stewardess uniforms, have been given an update, now much more varied, laid back, and personalized. And now, unlike before when Aubrey would give the Bellas their cue to start, she shows that she's learned to let people with fresh ideas take the reins by handing it over to Becca. Aubrey takes the first few lyrics singing Price Tag by Jessie J, the lyrics reflecting her own growth in the story, learning to prioritize her friends and the quality of their performance over superficial tradition.
I wonder how they sleep at night when the sale comes first and the truth comes second.
The first few lyrics are also sung relatively slow and soothing to ease the audience in as they realize this won't be the same performance the Bellas have been rehashing 3 times over already.
I saw the sign, I saw the sign, I saw the sign.
Looks like they're sticking with what they know.
And then, right as the audience has started to get comfortable, the Bellas hit them with everything they've got, with Lily beatboxing and the song's tempo suddenly picking up.
It ain't about the money, it's not about the money, money, money. We don't need the money, money, money.
This drives home just how well the Bellas have learned to work together, as this new performance sounds completely different from what we've come to expect from them. Not to mention how Lily beatboxing shows how she's being allowed to play to her strengths instead of, well, this. The song continues with the first verse, and we now get to see how their choreography has also seen a major upgrade. It's no longer the stiff, synchronized, and overly rehearsed dancing from before. It's now way more energetic, varied, and has way more personality. And then, just when the audience thinks they've figured out what to expect from the song, the tempo suddenly slows down and we get to see Becca sing Don't You Forget About Me by Simple Minds.
Hey, 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 won't you come see about me?
The fact that Becca is the one to initiate the song change is a great way of indicating that she's managed to put her music mixing and mashup skills to good use, which was a source of tension between her and Aubrey earlier.
I would be happy to do it if I got to pick a new song and do an arrangement. Well, that's not how we run things here.
The choice of Don't You Forget About Me also serves as a message to Jesse in the audience that she's willing to be close with him now after he opened up to her earlier about his love for the song and its use in The Breakfast Club.
Greatest ending to any movie ever.
And when Becca sings the lyrics,
As you walk on by, will you call my name?
and Jesse subtly nods his head, I love that detail so much. In fact, the way the song is used here is actually kind of similar to how it's used in The Breakfast Club. That movie is also a story about a group of misfits who seemingly have nothing in common, but over the course of the movie learn from each other and ultimately become the best versions of themselves as a result, similar to what happens to the Bellas. This then transitions into the final verse of the Bellas number, a cover of Give Me Everything by Pitbull. It's here where Chloe's backing vocals are at their most prominent. Just before the show, she discovered that the damage done to her voice has now left her able to sing at a lower pitch.
Give me everything tonight.
And granted, this is incredibly unrealistic, but I'm willing to chalk that up to artistic license. I'll give it credit that it does help to convey the new identity the Bellas have established because it gives the song a more unique sound compared to what we've heard from them before. It also contrasts with the introduction the Bellas were given in the opening scene when nobody had faith in them.
The women typically cannot hit the low notes, which really round out an arrangement, thrill the judges, and that can really hurt them in competition.
Anyway, this section of the song is primarily performed by the Bella members Cynthia, Amy, and Stacy, and the song choice is another example of how much the Bellas have changed their identity. Instead of the prim and proper image they had before, they're now letting the most provocative members of the group take center stage with a song about partying and sex.
Grab somebody sexy, tell them hey.
In particular, I really like this moment where Amy is allowed to play it a little unconventional with how she performs her lyrics.
But I might drink a little more mashup tonight.
Baby, forget about me.
Yeah, tonight.
And I mean the good kind of unconventional singing that Rebel Wilson does, as opposed to...
I think that the cockroaches need employment to prevent them from idle and wanton destroyment.
you know, the other kind of unconventional. It's also nice to see Cynthia getting to openly sing about being attracted to women, reflecting her own sexuality.
For tonight, I can make you my queen and baby, as long as you manly.
Even Aubrey, who up until now has been the most uptight of the Bellas, is now letting loose, taking off her jacket, revealing a sexy tank top. At this point, she's almost unrecognizable from the person we saw at the beginning of the movie. Then there's a small nod to Party in the USA by Miley Cyrus, which calls back to an earlier scene where we saw a rare moment of the Bellas actually getting along.
So I put my hands up to play my song, the butterflies fly away.
The song concludes with the Bellas huddling up, which has been a running joke throughout the movie, where they try to motivate each other but couldn't quite get on the same page about it.
1, 2, Okay, we will work on that first thing next time.
This huddle here indicating that they finally learned to see eye to eye, something that becomes all too clear when their song ends and they get a standing ovation from the audience, winning the competition. This is one of my favorite movie endings of all time, and honestly one of my favorite songs in any musical. The way it weaves all the character arcs and personalities into this big climactic musical number is really impressive and entertaining to see, and I've rewatched this scene so many times. Really, the only thing that would make this scene better would be if the story it was paying off was a little better developed. Don't get me wrong, I enjoy the movie like I said, but I do think that certain aspects of it could have been handled better. Like Becca's arc, for example, about learning to be less emotionally closed off.
But you just shut me out.
Yeah, well, I shut everybody out. Don't take it personally. It's just easier.
It's also really lonely.
It's interesting, but there isn't a ton of focus on why she's like that beyond a backstory of her parents getting divorced, which comes across as a little vague because we don't really see much of the effect it had on her. Chloe's damaged voice doesn't play much of a role in the plot, so this payoff of her taking a limitation and turning it into a strength, while entertaining in context of the song, doesn't feel as impactful as it should. And there are some issues beyond that, like how the other Bellas getting to let their personality shine on stage isn't as cathartic as it could be, considering they never showed many signs of being upset with the way things were before. It was really only Becca who objected to the way Aubrey was leading the group, while the other Bellas just seemed happy to be there. I get that the reason they're not given much attention is because they're mainly there for comic relief, but even just a few moments where they show that they like to express themselves more than Aubrey is letting them would be really nice to see. And while I do like this scene of Cynthia proudly singing about being a lesbian, it is slightly undermined by previous scenes that occasionally play into negative stereotypes, like this scene where she tries to make an unwanted advancement on Stacy. You know, kinda mixed message. Still, generally speaking, I really love this ending, and even though I think Pitch Perfect is only good but not great, scenes like this are a clear example of why this movie has such a devoted fan base. I wish the movie as a whole was on the same level of quality, but I'm glad we got this one moment of brilliance from an overall pretty decent movie.
Endings are the best part.
You're such a weirdo.
Thanks for watching. If you like this video and you want to see my next one sooner than anyone else, take a look at my Patreon. For just a few pounds, dollars, or whatever, you'll get to see previews and full releases of my videos before they get released on YouTube. If that interests you, check it out in the link in the description below. I'll talk to you later.